What's up, guys? We're back with another comparison. Today we got the S10 Plus versus the S23 Ultra here. S10 Plus, one of my all-time favorite older flagship phones here. And this is going to be a pretty good upgrade, but also there are some significant downgrades as well too, which we will get into. So let's go ahead and get started here. Alright, so first off, with the design of these two phones, you can see wildly different here. And I still like the S10 Plus design. It still looks really clean and just simple, so really classy looking. And with this gloss back, you don't really get a lot of fingerprints, especially with this color, which is something that I really love. But two very nice looking phones still. Alright, so they're both glass and metal phones, both IP68 dust and water resistant. As you can see, there's a massive size difference. You can see, and this is the plus size phone, right? So you can see how big phones have gotten over time. Just massive. And as you can see, there's a big difference with the hardware. So with the S23, we do have a stylus down below. You can do digital artwork, draw with. And down below, we do have a headphone jack on the S10 Plus. We do not have a headphone jack on the S23 Ultra. And also another hardware difference is that we also have SD card support on the S10 Plus. We have no SD card support on the S23 Ultra, which means that you could basically get more storage on the S10 Plus if you download a lot of games, videos, take a lot of videos and stuff like that. That SD card will come in handy. And yeah, you will notice a big difference in terms of weight. The S23 Ultra is just massively, or I wouldn't say massively, but it's definitely way more heavier than the S10 Plus. Almost makes this phone feel light in comparison. But two very beautiful phones. You can see the camera's just getting so big over time. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about these screens. So the S10 Plus, it still has a pretty good screen. It's got a 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's HDR10 Plus at 1440p, 522 for the PPI. The S23 has a bigger 6.8-inch display. It is also a 1440p display, 500 for the PPI. It's also 120 Hz HDR10 Plus, and it gets very bright at 1750 nits. Peak brightness, so it is going to be a much brighter display than the S10 Plus. When you're outdoors in direct sunlight, you'll definitely be able to tell the difference there. Also, you will notice that the S10 Plus does have a double punch hole. It houses a depth sensor up there along with the selfie camera, and then you just have one little camera on the S23 Ultra in the middle. You know, obviously a lot of people are going to like the one camera on there. I think a lot of people, that's the main complaint with this phone. But honestly, guys, when you start using it, your eyes sort of ignore it. So it's not like the double punch hole is really that distracting. And I think it might be smaller than Apple's, dynamic island thing as well too, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, very beautiful screens here, and also you have a more boxy screen versus a more sort of curved screen. And the S10 Plus does fit just better in the palm. It doesn't cut into the palm like the boxier S23 Ultra, and so that means it's just easier to handle. Basically, the big upgrade with the screen is not really resolution. It really comes down to one, the size, right? If you want a bigger phone, and then also it's a brighter display and it has 120 Hz on the S23 Ultra. The S10 Plus only has 60 Hz. And you will feel that, just scrolling, swiping through applications and stuff like that, you will feel that 120 Hz. Definitely much smoother feeling. But other than that, the S10 Plus does still have a pretty good display color-wise and resolution-wise. It's still very sharp and still very nice to look at. Alright, so let's talk about these specs a little bit more. The S10 Plus, the last major OS update for this phone was Android 12 when UI 4.1. It is in its security patch stages, so it will only be getting security patches from now on. And then we have the Snapdragon 855 chip on here. We also have on here, again, micro SD card support. This one is 128 gigs of internal storage and I believe 8 gigs of RAM. And then on the S23 Ultra, we do have Android 13, One UI 5.1. And then this phone will have a very long lifespan. It gets 4 years of major OS updates and 5 years of security patches. You also have the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, and then it is no SD card support. And this version is 512 gigabytes and then 12 gigs of RAM. Alright, so basically you can see big score jump here with the single core and a very big score jump with the multi-core score. Now when it comes to like the real world use, The S10 Plus is surprisingly still very fast. The Snapdragon 855 is still a very fast and capable chip when it comes to, you know, just getting in and out of applications and stuff like that. It's a very, very fast phone. So as you guys can see here, it's able to keep up with the S23 Ultra with just doing basic things. That's why I said the Snapdragon 855 chip is a very efficient chipset when it comes to just, you know, being fast and being able to keep up. It's even still, it's faster than something like a Galaxy A53, their mid-range phone. So that's how well and powerful this chip is still, as you guys can see here. So you see, S23 Ultra definitely faster, but it's not dramatically faster. And like I said, animations and stuff are still very smooth on the S10 Plus here. So yes, you are getting a speed upgrade for the most part, but I think for the average person, it's not going to be super dramatic. I think really the speed upgrade that you'll feel is the 120 Hertz. That'll make the phone look and feel faster. I think to the average person, it'll stand out the most. So if you're looking for that sort of like, oh, this feels faster, yes, the 120 Hertz in the S23 Ultra will give you that feeling. But as far as like app loading times, animation, stuff like that, it's going to be, you know, pretty much the same. And also games definitely do launch way faster this year. Samsung did an excellent job with the GPU in this phone. It's really, really fast, really, really nice. As far as the gaming experience, again, just like the Note 10 Plus, this phone has the 855 chip, and it's very, very fast when it comes to performance, guys. It basically plays PUBG at the same settings. Yes, the S23 Ultra will be definitely more efficient when it comes to gaming in terms of being able to hold a frame rate for a long period of time. It doesn't get really as hot. It's one of those phones where this chip has just been really impressive for gaming, because this phone does not get hot and it's got a very impressive CPU, but we're playing at HDR Extreme and it's able to hold these 60 frames very, very smoothly. But also, again, like I said, Note 10 Plus, for a phone that you can find easily for $200, you know, you're playing at virtually the same settings, and it's also very consistent at HDR Extreme too. So it's a very fast phone. I did drop a gaming test. It's extremely well optimized as well too. So I just think the gaming experience is still pretty good for the casual gamer. Obviously, if you're a, you know, hardcore gamer, you're gonna like the speed upgrade, because overall benchmarks, it's just going to do much better. And like I said, during a long gaming period, yes, this phone is going to be a little bit better for sure. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the speakers. Max volume starting with the S10 Plus. So as you guys can hear, the S23 Ultra is definitely a very good speaker upgrade. It's just louder, has more bass. Overall, just a very good speaker. So yes, it does sound a little bit louder and fuller than the S10 Plus for sure. Also, when it comes to additional features, we do pretty much have the same features on both of these phones, as far as like Samsung desktop support, secure folders, all that good stuff. Both phones have a under the display fingerprint sensor that works really well, and then you have face unlock. The only big difference software wise is that you do have the S Pen now, so it comes down to, do you think you would use it? Like I said, I like to use it for like groceries and stuff like that, just to quickly write stuff down, you know, if I'm going to the store or whatever. And yeah, I use it for that. But other than that, it's just pretty nice to I guess it's pretty nice to sort of draw on. Digital artwork is one thing. Again, I'm not like a person that can draw, but I've seen it on YouTube. So if you're somebody that's kind of into digital artwork, the pen is extremely accurate for that. So it's something that I think could be beneficial for people that are creatives and stuff like that. And overall, Samsung just has a ton of little features in here that you can mess with. Just very handy. Alright, so next would be the camera upgrade. This is a pretty massive upgrade just in terms of taking stills, just in terms of the zooming capability. It's just overall just a better camera. Now I think just from looking at the shots, I thought that the S10 Plus did really good in good lighting conditions, but you definitely see, you know, in lower light conditions, that's where the S23 Ultra starts to shine at. It just does a much better job. Images can be a little bit soft on the S10 Plus compared to this one. But the spec upgrade is pretty crazy. So you have a 200 megapixel camera, a 10 megapixel telephoto. It does 10x optical zoom on here. Then you have another telephoto that does 3x, and then you also have an ultra wide 12 megapixel, and then this shoots in 8K 30 as well too, which is really nice, and it goes all the way up to 100 times zoom. You also have a 12 megapixel selfie cam that shoots in 4K 60, so you have a pretty big spec upgrade. Now the S10 Plus has a 12 megapixel standard and then a telephoto lens, and that does 2x optical zoom. And you also have an ultra wide on here as well too. It's 16 megapixels and it shoots in 4K 60 on here as well too, with a 12 megapixel, or I'm sorry, 10 megapixel selfie cam. And then you also have the depth sensor, or the wide sensor on here, and that is also a 4K 60 as well too for the recording. So check out the side-by-side stills. Let me know, what do you guys think? Alright guys, here's the video on the S10 Plus 2X. We hit our ultra wide. Let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, here's just a little test footage of the S23 Ultra here for the video. The 3X. 10x. As you see, just look at the detail. It's really nice. Very impressive. And we do have a 0.6 on here as well too. So just awesome image quality here, man. Alright guys, lastly I want to go ahead and touch on battery life. So the S10 Plus, it does have a 4100 milliamp battery with 15 watt wired charging and 15 watt wireless charging. You also have reverse wireless charging as well too. And then on the S23 Ultra, you have a 5000 milliamp battery with 45 watt charging. So basically you have much faster charging speeds on this phone as well too. And then you also have wireless and reverse wireless charging. Alright, so basically this is a pretty big battery upgrade. The S23 Ultra does amazing with battery life. Just has overall just better screen on time. You could typically get with this phone a day, almost 2 days of battery life. With the S10 Plus, pretty much around 6 hours of screen on time, which is about a day. So yes, you are getting a pretty nice battery upgrade with this phone, and again, it does charge much faster. So again, I think it's a pretty solid upgrade. You are losing the headphone jack, the SD card support, but you are gaining a lot, like better battery life, a bigger, better display, also better cameras, and you also get longer software support. As far as like the chip goes, yes, the chip is better, but I don't think it's like it's not anything to really worry about if you're not like a hardcore gamer. So be sure to let me know, what do you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.